Okay, let's begin. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome. Our weekly discussion on gathering on Ramadan. Inshallah, we're going to continue reading where we left off, the third point from Risale Nur. And this week again, like we have our panelists, Kulnajan from UK and Marajan from Arizona, and I'll be, inshallah, moderating this week's reading. All right, without further ado, let's begin, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. From On Fasting, from Sayyid Nursi's collection, Risale collection, the treatise on Ramadan. The third point. Last week, we just quickly what we just talked a little bit. So, the Ustad bin Zaman Sayyid Nursi is describing the importance of Ramadan and how we need to see it and how we should welcome it. And then there was an important kind of question that uh, gathered like this one ton, just a lot of attention, especially this question. So how, and his the way of kind of just explaining it, and how can if someone who's not participating into this feast, this festival of Ramadan, this important, maybe just a trade that is basically given to us and a great opportunity. If who's not participating, how does that person deserve to be called as a human? And then, of course, we just now with the second point, he's explaining the purposes, right? So just in the uh, basically just now hidden tons of course, just now importance. Well, one of them is just like seeing it like as a fasting and the true to become, of course, just to join into this like this universal gratitude, like and as he just like points out. And of course, like now in the third point, so we read it, but I think like and it would be maybe just better to read it and then like go on to discussion a little more and a little with basically just maybe just like stopping like in different kind of places. All right, inshallah, let's begin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The third point, one of the wise purposes behind fasting in Ramadan concerns the social life of mankind and is as follows. Human beings have been created differently as far as the nature of their livelihoods is concerned. As a result of this difference, God Almighty asks the rich to help the poor. One way in which the rich are able to understand the pain and hunger of poverty is through fasting and self-denial in Ramadan. If there were no fasting, there would be many self-indulgent rich people who would be unable to understand how severe hunger and poverty can be, or how much in need of compassion the poor and the hungry actually are. Compassion for other human beings is an essential part of true gratitude. One who practices self-denial in Ramadan will understand that whoever he is, there will always be someone poorer than he in some respect. Ramadan encourages him to be compassionate towards others. If he himself were not compelled to experience hunger, he would be unable to show compassion to others by giving them the assistance they need and which he is obliged to give. And even if he were able to give assistance without fasting in Ramadan, he would not have experienced the state of hunger himself, and so his compassion would lack authenticity. All right, so this was the third point, and now Ustad Bediüzzaman Sanusi is underlying, and we also underline the compassion and the other feelings and the faculties and the importance of this has been like now discussed and of course when Allah Almighty is asking maybe just us to experience this and Ustad Bediüzzaman is reminding us that what type of course just or how it should be maybe exercised in that respect and of course I think there is a huge of course also the influence and the effect of this compassion to the social life, I believe. Maybe we can take direction or like maybe just answer from that maybe angle. And I would like to ask our panelists and who would like to go first, maybe this week, Hikmet Hocam, Kolun Hocam, or maybe Kolun Hocam. Yeah, you can go
I
first.
don't mind.
Yeah, please.
I was waiting for Hikmet, but I don't mind. Um, I thought we talked about a little bit last
A
week
little,
about
yeah, yes, sir. Yeah.
gratitude and
Mhm,
compassion.
mhm,
Gratitude and compassion, I think they go hand in hand.
mhm,
You know, when you are grateful for something, it softens the heart. And a softened heart is more amenable to compassion, I think.
mhm,
Um, we get lots of opportunities to empathize and to sympathize, and Ramadan is a very, very good one. Um, one becomes emptied, uh, sort of not just physically emptied, but also emptied of all pretense and all ostentation, and one becomes really open to reality in a sense,
mhm,
because one doesn't have the distraction. And if one is fasting properly, obviously,
mhm,
with the right intention, then gratitude and compassion are really important. We often forget that, this is not an individualistic deen that we have.
mhm.
This
Yeah.
is a social deen.
Mhm.
We say when we're praying, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ.
Right,
We
right.
speak on behalf of the whole of creation
Yeah,
and the whole of
absolutely.
society.
Absolutely.
So, we are embedded in society. We are social creatures.
Hmm, hmm,
And in an ideal world, obviously, in an ideal universe and in an
hmm,
ideal state, the whole of society would be in tune during this month.
hmm,
As it is, we're fragmented and we are scattered. But still, I think during Ramadan,
hmm,
Muslims pay a lot of sadaqah.
hmm,
The statistics are crazy,
hmm,
very, very high.
hmm.
So people are doing as far as they are able what they're supposed to be doing, and that is looking after our fellow humans.
Right.
Now, we do it through zakat, through sadaqat,
Hmm,
through all of these things which Allah has ordained. And of
hmm,
course, unbelievers in their own ways, they do it, but in ways which don't really comport with
hmm.
reality and with truth. I
Right.
mean, if
Hmm.
you look at political movements that try to equalize everyone, I mean, it doesn't work, and it
No.
ends up actually being
Hmm,
actually more unjust.
hmm, hmm,
But in Islam, it is a very hikmetly,
hmm.
very wise
Right.
process
Hmm,
and very well constructed.
hmm,
And so everyone benefits, right? We benefit
hmm,
not just from fasting, but also understanding and empathizing with those
hmm,
who don't have enough food, who don't have enough money.
hmm,
And so this, in a sense, is good for us because it awakens our lata'if, it awakens our
hmm,
compassion, our
hmm,
empathy, our sense of fellow feeling,
hmm.
sympathy, all of these things. These are lata'if,
Yeah.
which often are not tested and often not awakened
Hmm,
to the extent that they're awakened in Ramadan. Because when you are feeling weak and when you are feeling low
hmm.
and empty, the lata'if are much more acutely, how can I say, acutely tuned in.
Right.
And we are closer to our, organic fitri state.
Hmm, hmm,
So there are so many things in Ramadan where we benefit and society benefits. And the
hmm.
question that Ustad asked at the end of the first point,
Yeah.
which we dwelt on quite a lot,
Right.
if someone who doesn't do this,
Hmm,
can we call them truly human? Then this becomes more and more contextualized and
hmm.
more understandable. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, perfect. Yeah. I totally agree. I totally just understand what your points and everything, and that's what I wanted to also kind of like hear just to see that universal kind of side of it, and as like just with the all the aspects of humanity. Hikmarujan, would you like to add anything? What Konujam said,
I'll just remind us that the last week where we discussed as well that what in
please.
addition to what
Hmm.
Colin always said, we were talking about that somebody has to just expose the poverty, hungerness, or just understand to
Hmm. Hmm.
the poor, and as well as that the having empathy and compassion is going to
Hmm.
come out. We said we can donate or help people by giving
Hmm.
some material, food, and money. But
Hmm.
also some other brothers also said that knowledge, how sharing is also the this type of like giving to
Hmm.
people as well, and being thankful to Allah, and then really grateful, because if Allah is giving you or giving us that some kind of know-how or knowledge, and that sharing this is
Hmm.
also really something that is helping us understanding in during Ramadan as well. In addition to sharing
Hmm.
this food, other or finance and financial help as well. But
Hmm.
this reminds me that I think it's in Khutbeh Shami as well, if I remember correctly. This is
Hmm.
really important in terms of social life, because
Hmm.
wealthy people are scared from the poor people because they might think that Ustad is saying that they are going to steal like their wealthiness
Yeah,
and
yeah.
other things. So
Mhm,
this Ramadan is also helping that, okay, there is a system, Islamic system, compared to other system that is now
mhm,
currently available, is one of the best systems, so that the rich people or wealthy people is not going to scared from the poorer
mhm,
to, like, break into their house and like, stealing something, or other things can happen. But poor people, poorer in the social life, a group of that those type of people is going to just start loving those people as well, because they are sharing whatever that you do have.
mhm.
And in the whole wild world system is completely different, and this is also telling us, Ramadan is also telling us that what the system is going to be, or the best system in the world, is Islamic system. So they will start loving each other, they will understand each other by sharing the knowledge, not only like finance as well, financial part too, and food, other thing, because they will understand the hungerness and poverty with this
Mhm.
Ramadan, right? And
Yeah.
also they will understand that, yeah, and the poor people is going to understand, okay, they are good people, or they are sharing and they love us, or so the remember that the one of the most important part, the creation of the world, is the love. So
Yeah.
this is going to just, Ramadan is
Mhm.
going to just give us the love between poor and as well as the rich people. So
Yeah.
this is only one thing that I need to add in
Mhm.
addition to last week.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Thanks for the reminder, Konujam. Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean that's what we wanted to hear. Like, yeah, there's just what are the aspects that are just somehow looking into this the social life like from Ramadan. And thanks a lot again, like for that reminder, Konujam too. Yeah, it's just to see, of course, from every aspect of humanity. And just this is a great kind of opportunity for us to even to exercise all these faculties and lataif that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed upon us, and to see the true human being, what it means. Not only just, of course, with just maybe a monetary kind of side of it, like in helping and everything, but experiencing also what they go through and understanding and of course having that compassion and sympathy and everything and empathy, all those like necessary human feelings. Great, thank you. All right, so let's continue with the fourth point. Um, the fourth point, one of the wise purposes behind the practice of fasting in Ramadan concerns the training of the lower self known as tazkiyah, and it is as follows. The lower self, the nafs al-ammara, wants to be free, and in actual fact considers itself completely independent. Its nature is such that it imagines, it possesses the same kind of lordship that is ascribed to its creator, and it reckons that it can do exactly as it pleases. It does not want to admit that it is being supported, sustained, and trained at every moment through the innumerable bounties it receives. These feelings of ownership and autonomy are greater when the person involved is rich and powerful. And if that person is also neglectful, it becomes even more rapacious, gobbling up divine bounties like an unjust, thieving beast. One of the reasons we are asked to practice self-denial in Ramadan is so that everyone's lower self, whether we are rich or poor, may come to understand that it owns absolutely nothing and that it is itself owned. Fasting in Ramadan teaches the lower self that unless there is a command from its true owner, it is unable to complete even the simplest of tasks. It cannot even stretch out its hand towards water. The Ramadan fast thus shatters the lower self's imaginary ownership and lordship. Consequently, the lower self begins to worship and give thanks as befits its true duty. Wow, that's basically again somehow like it just goes in hand, and a little kind of maybe just a very serious kind of like in a point that just thought we just want to I guess like he's making, and it goes like a little bit kind of hand in hand as I said with the first point a little bit in a sense that it just kind of awakens you just go back to like some of course the true kind of like the source. Kunlijan, what would you like to say, especially with this part, the
I'd
nafs?
like to say that
Yeah,
Hikmet should go first this time.
hikmet should go. All right. That's very hikmetly kind of just way. Kunlijan, and now it's your turn.
Okay, okay, I'll be back. Here is that I just wanted to summarize here that
Mhm,
a human being can be just really completely different
mhm,
by one. When you have or when we have rich and powerful,
mhm,
second is just a neglect thing everything. So these are going to give us that or imaginary ownership and autonomy, saying that we are the ownership of everything,
mhm,
including our body as well.
mhm,
And also that remember that everything is coming from then. Okay, I did this, I made this, or I
mhm,
came here with my by scratching everything with my fingers or nails or something.
yeah,
Remember that this is what is just giving us, because we are really rich and powerful, and then and also that neglecting everything that is just giving, say that this is I am the owner of myself.
mhm,
Although that the Ramazan in the first point and second point also we clearly said that nothing belongs to us. Actually, this is
yeah,
clear. Yeah.
mhm,
And fourth point that is just clearly telling that being a rich and powerful is not a bad thing, but it's just neglecting, and all these things is just can play with our nefes
mhm,
easily, and then we can be completely different person. And
mhm,
in the Ramadan, we do understand that number one is that our body, we are really completely just really fragile, and also we cannot, nothing belongs to us. Even that's what the clear sentence, cannot even stretch out its hand for water. That means that it's just giving to us by someone else, Allah,
yeah,
right? This is what we do understand. And then uh,
mhm,
tell our nefes, tazkiyah is just, hey, I mean, that's clearly just Anna Risalis is also telling us that we are not own our body or own anything in the world.
mhm,
So, and then you can just this Ramadan is just helping our nefes that, hey, be careful, and you need to understand that nothing belongs to us, not even our body, not even our food and everything internally and externally. Nothing belongs to us.
Yeah.
And just get rid of those imaginary ownership, and then just say everything
Hmm.
is coming from Allah. This
Yeah.
is obvious that we cannot. Yeah, so this is
Hmm.
all I can say right now.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Kanaja. Thank you. All right. Maybe now just we can go back to Kanaja. Would you like to add?
Uh, I think that Hikmat covered all bases there, really.
Hmm.
One of the most important things that I learned,
Hmm.
and I'm still learning from Risale,
Hmm.
which is not really accentuated and emphasized by other scholars in the same way that Ustad does it, is our complete lack of any kind of ownership. The only thing that we own is our ability to choose.
Choose. Yeah.
And that actually has no external existence, even.
Hmm.
It is a relational thing. So, I mean, when
Hmm.
we say, oh, we own nothing, it sounds as though, we're being very trite. Oh, we know that we own nothing. We know that we come from nothing. But do
Hmm.
we? But do
Yeah.
we really know in the sense of, do we really internalize it? Because I know I don't.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is that our systems, the systems
Hmm.
in which we're embedded,
Hmm.
our social cultural system,
Hmm.
consensus reality, our educational system tells us the opposite.
Yeah.
Tells us that you are your own person. You do own.
Hmm.
Your body is yours.
Yeah. Do as
Even
you
these
wish. Yeah.
movements,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
body, my own, or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so these things are absolutely crucial
Hmm.
for a society that is secular, a secular liberal democracy,
Hmm.
has to believe in human autonomy.
Hmm.
So, even we have to say that they believe in ownership.
Hmm.
However weak they may feel, however much they may feel the need
Hmm.
to unite with each other because of their political weakness or their social weakness, they actually do believe that they own their own body and they can do what they want with it. They own their own spirit, even if they believe they have a spirit.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So the biggest cause of strife in human society, right from the very, very beginning of creation, when Iblis uh, was proud and said, you created him from clay, you created me from fire, I am superior. This
Hmm.
sense of ownership is kind of embedded, it's kind of baked in
Hmm.
to us as human beings. And Hikmet mentioned Eneris
Hmm.
we know that we have to have this imaginary ownership.
Hmm.
Ustad tells us
Hmm.
that Allah gives us this imaginary ownership only so that we can use it as a means of measurement. So he gives me a kind of, or he reflects on me a kind of power
Hmm.
so that I know what power is. If I don't experience it, I can't know what it is.
Hmm.
So a kind of power is reflected on me so that I can say, well, I'm quite powerful. I can lift, quite heavy weights, but
Hmm.
Allah must be so powerful because look, he created the whole of creation. Anyway,
Hmm.
everyone here knows better than I do the takeaway from Anna
Hmm.
Risalisi. But society militates against this. The educational system militates against this. It tells
Hmm.
us the opposite.
Hmm.
It tells us to be proud, to have self-esteem, to have all of these things,
Hmm.
because you look after yourself because no one else is going to look after you.
Hmm.
We see people all the time. You see people at the gym pumping
Hmm.
up their bodies because they believe that they own their body and they want the best body. And
Yeah.
of course, if you think you own something, you think you can also perfect it.
Hmm.
And this is why when people talk about, perfecting their selves for the sake of Allah, this is a very misleading thing. Uh, you know, Allah tells us we cannot purify ourselves. We
Yeah.
cannot. Only He can do that.
Certainly.
Um,
Yeah.
so this ownership, which
Hmm.
Ustad talks about, um, some kind of understanding of ownership, we can get it during Ramadan. We can
Hmm.
get it that we don't own ourselves because when you're
Hmm.
hungry, your stomach has no food,
Hmm.
you've had no water, you
Hmm.
realize you start to approach what
Hmm.
is your actual reality.
Yeah.
which is nothing,
Hmm.
which is a state of absolute impotence, which we rarely, if ever,
Hmm.
experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ownership has caused all of the wars,
Hmm.
in human history, has caused all of the social strife, has
Yeah.
caused all of the genayat, all of the
Hmm.
crimes,
Hmm.
is down to this human sense
Hmm.
of ownership and pride.
Yeah.
And Ramadan is a way of breaking that, just for a month, even.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That is yeah, just a great explanation. I really loved it. And just that as a reminder and everything, just and looking at the again like in the universal kind of like in a picture, just to see like from outside and to understand. Yeah. And go back into again like it's in humanity. Yeah. Over and over. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot for just just for those like the reminders of especially the another fallacy and of course from looking at from the different perspective. Awesome. All right. So let's continue then with the fifth point. And I guess like he's gonna open like this in a little more and a little more and it's gonna give like more explanations and more examples. Start with Zaman. And let's see just what he's got to say for the fifth point. The fifth point. Another of the wise purposes of the Ramadan fast concerns the conduct of the lower self and the abandonment of rebellious habits, and it is as follows. The human soul often forgets itself through neglect. It is unable to see its own absolute powerlessness, need, and deficiency. In fact, it cannot bear to see them. It does not consider itself weak, and it refuses to admit that it is subject to transience or prone to disasters. It refuses to see that it is housed in a body that is nothing but flesh and bone, with death and decay, its ultimate fate. Instead, it acts as though it possessed a body of steel, immune from death and decay. It attacks the world with voracious greed, with violent passion, and endless desire. It is entranced by anything that gives it pleasure or offers it benefit. More importantly, it forgets the one who creates and sustains it with perfect compassion, and it pays no attention whatsoever to the outcomes of its life and its fate in the hereafter. It wallows in vice and it thrives on misconduct. Fasting in the month of Ramadan goes some way to awakening even the most neglectful and obstinate of souls, alerting them to their weakness, their importance, and their need. When they are hungry, they think of their stomachs and they are able to understand their neediness. They realize how frail their bodies actually are, and they come to perceive how much they are in need of kindness and compassion. The Ramadan fast gives the lower self an opportunity to abandon its pharaonic tyranny through recognizing its utter impotence and want. The lower soul nurtures a desire to take refuge at God's court. As long as negligence has not already destroyed its heart, the lower self prepares in Ramadan to knock at the door of divine mercy with the hand of gratitude. And I believe so far what we have read and what we have discussed basically just somehow like just prepared some sort of kind of foundation to this and start how like greatly it's just that he explains it and takes like this mean that takes us like not just to the different kind of directions in a sense that too like it's been two different kind of opposite and how also like it's been as a human being we have experienced or somehow like kind of felt in such a way like because of as Kulnajam like I mentioned because of the education that we've got like so far and And of course, I mean, just the society that we're surrounded with and how they are like continuously sending those messages, like, just everywhere, like, we look, that just, but, and this is what it is. This is like, I mean, a great kind of, as he says, like, the opportunity. I'd like to turn like just now maybe again like to Ikmarajan. What do you think, especially for like in the fifth point and the points that Ustad Zaman again brings us to reconsider and just to everything that just we have now.
Um, Now it is just clearly telling me that, see, Ramazan, that you cannot even speak, and then I can understand that how weak
Yeah,
I am, and then
yeah,
this body is really just a flesh and bones, nothing else.
yeah,
This is, yeah, this is clear that in the fifth point, and
hmm
when we were talking about the fourth point, I just wanted to
hmm
mention it, add something to Colin Abi's saying
hmm
and you're saying as well.
certainly.
I remember 6, 7 months ago that we were also discussing another gathering, and
Hmm
I said that I joined the Harvard graduation, and then they were saying, "Here, this is you are a Harvard graduate. You're different.
hmm
You need to look at the way or the world completely different." That's what this statement was.
Yeah.
So I think all the school is saying the same thing, and
hmm
this is basically that what we were just getting in some kind of or imposed by other or external group
hmm
and external part, and then our society now.
hmm
Although that and that's what we believe, right? I mean, we
hmm
just made it, and if I do this, I will get this. If I do that, and I will not get this type
hmm
of thing. Although that we are definitely going to follow whatever the SBOB is, and we will do that. But
Yeah.
we need to understand that Tawheed is clearly saying that everything is under Allah's control, and we only know that we can only choose,
hmm
and that's it. That's the only thing. We don't have ownership. And in when the fifth point is that clearly saying that even in your body,
hmm
our body is completely just weak. We are
hmm
completely powerless. And think about that when you look at the one apple, that in order to have that apple, you need to have whole cosmos to have that apple, right? The
hmm
whole spring and sun and everything, and the weather and everything, which we don't have any single power to play with it.
hmm
And this is really helping us that our rebellion is, I mean, that's something we have always some kind of rebellions. Hey, I am the man, I am the human, I can do something, and this type of like abundance and rebel, we do have some kind of rebellions and obstinate as well.
hmm
So the this type of neglectance and just gonna tell us that, hey, we are not really powerful. We
hmm
are just needy person or needy creature here in this world, and
hmm
we need everybody, everything, all the cosmos.
Yeah.
Like one apple to have the apple, we need the whole cosmos. That's what it's clearly telling me that,
hmm
hey, we are weak, and our body is completely weak. See that we are fasting right now, and then we cannot even speak really loudly or just with the
hmm
number of things because our body is going down. So that
hmm
means that we need some kind of food, water, other things as well. That is just, and also everything is in our body is controlled by Allah too, right? We cannot control that how much nutrition is going to go to heart and bloods, and we cannot even control that the blood pressure. This is
Yeah.
this is inside, and then we don't even know that our kidney is really working perfect or not,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we have no control. This is completely telling us that how weak we are,
hmm
and Ramadan is just giving us that type of
hmm
weakness that, or trying to help us.
hmm
If you understand, trying to help us that our weakness and how needy we are, and how powerless we are, and this is and our body, just flesh and bones, not steel or rock or anything else. So
Yeah.
this is all
Yeah.
I can say right now.
Yeah. Thank you, Kalajan. Yeah, just that's great examples and everything. Kalajan, what would you like to add to what Hikmatajam said and so far?
Uh,
And
there were some great points there.
Hmm.
We don't like to see powerlessness. We don't like to feel powerless. We
Right.
like to see
Right.
power. Power
Hmm.
means vitality. It means we're alive. It means we're in the world.
Hmm.
You know, we don't like getting ill. We don't like getting old. We don't like getting sick. We don't
Hmm.
like feeling weak because
Hmm.
we are created to worship the one who is Qadir, the one who is Qadir, right?
Yeah.
The one who is Kabir.
Yes, sir.
We are that's baked in us. We
Hmm.
want to worship the one who is powerful. I
Hmm.
remember how my heart broke when I realized that my father was not all powerful, right?
Yeah.
You know, your father is your Rab when you're growing up.
Right. Yeah.
Your mother as well, of course, in a different way. And when you realize that, oh, my father couldn't do that, your whole
Hmm.
world caves in because, you know, we are really, you know, your idol breaks, but
Mhm.
the idol
Of
has to
course, of
break.
course, of
The
course. Yeah.
idol has to smash, obviously.
Hmm.
But that doesn't stop us really venerating the notion of power and powerfulness. We are attracted to it
Hmm.
on different levels. And of course, we have to realize that we don't have it ourselves.
Hmm.
And that's very difficult to do for reasons we've already mentioned, you know, bad education, the way that society, nurtures this idea of you have to be powerful, might is right. It's even interesting that, you know, for the election of a caliph,
Hmm.
khalifa,
Hmm.
the Khalifa, the Caliph, must not have any visible defect. So,
Hmm.
for example, if he's got like a missing nose, then he's not eligible to be Caliph because human beings
Hmm.
look up to powerful figures.
Hmm.
This can be a good thing, you know,
Hmm.
because we are supposed to obey authority. It can also be very, very toxic if we're
Hmm.
looking up to the wrong kind of powerful figure. But I thought that was really interesting. You know, the caliph mustn't have any visible disfiguration.
Hmm.
If he and it says if his ears are cut or defective, it doesn't matter because it's covered by his amama, his turban.
Hmm.
This is really, really interesting for me.
Yeah.
It shows you how much in thrall we are of
Hmm.
power and
Hmm.
how we hate the idea of weakness,
Hmm.
particularly in ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, Ramadan is a perfect opportunity for us
Hmm.
to taste our own weakness. And
Yeah.
that's why we don't like it. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's why we shy away from it.
Hmm.
You know, this whole might is right, this Darwinistic thing that they've
Hmm.
made social Darwinism, might is right.
Hmm.
There is a kind of truth in that. Might is glorious, but Allah's might is glorious.
Yes.
We
Yeah.
don't, we only have reflections of that. We don't have samples of it. We don't have bits of it.
Hmm.
We don't have any of it actually, but
Yeah.
we can only reflect it. And this is why, as we get older, we see that the reflection grows dimmer. You know, the
Hmm.
candle starts to go out, the power starts to recede. And this is
Yeah.
very, very painful for those who don't believe.
Yeah.
For those of us who do believe, we also are tested. And
Hmm.
so Ramadan is a wonderful test.
Hmm.
Can we
Hmm.
come to terms with our impotence and our faqr?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Yeah, especially just yeah, reminding us again, like yeah, we're gonna be tested. Yeah, Allah Almighty is going to yeah keep testing until, of course, I'm just like now the end of the day. So it's always going to be there. But how great, like at the same time, like and how great opportunity, like, right? Like and for us, like as Ustad Zaman again, like and he mentions that it's a great, like and it means the opportunity for everything, not only just, of course, just lower self to abandon like this like tyranny, and to see all these like kind of beautiful in it, like that innate, of course, I'm just giving us to elevate our human beingness, I should say, yeah, just to increase I mean improve like in our iman, but also improve our understanding as well. Inshallah, that goes like with it. All right, shall we? Yeah, let's continue like reading. Then in the meantime, of course, I'd like to remind again, like whoever would like to participate or maybe add a point or something, you may feel free to raise your hand. Inshallah, will direct it and manage to give opportunity for anyone to participate or say something. All right. 6 point. Let's see what Ustad Bediüzzaman says on at the 6 point, and maybe just we can talk a little more. Let's go. It goes like this. The most important episodes of divine revelation took place during the month of Ramadan, and one of the many wise purposes behind the Ramadan fast pertains to the revelation of the all-wise Quran. It is as follows. Since the all-wise Quran was revealed in the month of Ramadan to ignore the demands of the lower soul by abstaining from food and drink means that we are able to respond to that heavenly address in the best possible way. Fasting then allows us to attain a state of holiness. Fasting then allows us to attain a state of holiness. It follows us to read and listen to the Quran as though it has just been revealed, or as though it is being revealed at this very moment as we read it. It allows us to listen to the Quran as though we are hearing it from the lips of God's noble messenger, peace and blessings upon him, or from the angel Gabriel, or indeed from the pre-eternal speaker himself. It allows us to act as the Quran's interpreter, to communicate it to others, and to some extent to demonstrate through our actions the wisdom behind the Quran's revelation. Indeed, it is as though in Ramadan, the whole world of Islam is transformed into a mosque, a place of prostration. In every corner of that mosque, millions of those who have memorized the Quran cause the dwellers on earth to hear that heavenly message. Each Ramadan reflects in the most luminous way the verse. It was the month of Ramadan in which the Quran was bestowed from on high. It proves beyond all doubt that Ramadan is the month of the Quran. Some members of the vast congregation listened to the Quran reciters with respect, while others recited for themselves. To pander to the base desires of the lower self while situated in a sacred mosque, and to abandon the state of holiness through eating and drinking, is to invite the disgust of the rest of the congregation. Similarly, those who oppose this practice of fasting in the month of Ramadan call upon themselves the disgust of the whole world of Islam. Now, how wonderful Ustad Zaman he explains, and I loved especially a couple sentences here that he just basically says, and especially resembling it to a whole, like in a world of Islam, right? So, like indeed, through Ramadan, the whole world of Islam is transformed into a mosque, a place of prostration, and also just a couple just of them like it's been basically just now addressing, and again to see as a month of Ramadan, like as a month of like in the Quran, right? So like as if like it is reading, and to see like in the listening as if like it is like revealed now, and to hear that just of course that sort of kind of thing, and fasting then again just like to elevate us to that like holiness as we just discussed a little bit, but now again Ustad like explains it a little further, inshallah. Hikmat Hocam, what would you like to say, especially and this sixth point? And
Let's go, inshallah, with Colin Avi, if it's okay.
okay, sure, yeah. All right. Well, hocam.
Yeah, sorry, I just broke my fast
Oh, nice. Yeah,
because it was
all right.
it was a minute ago.
Uh,
So I was hoping Hikmet would reply, but I'm okay. I
all
can
right.
I
Okay.
can I can do it.
Oh,
Um, the fact that the Quran was revealed in Ramadan, I mean, clearly is of importance. Quran becomes more understandable to us
Mhm.
actually during Ramadan because we are less distracted. When we're eating all day, blood is going to our stomach more than it's going to our head. And so, even from a physiological perspective, we're not at our best when we've eaten a lot. And so when we're completely empty, and we're not distracted, then we can approximate a kind of, he says, a state of holiness. I think it's actually, I think the original is Melekiyet,
Malakiyat.
Bezyet,
Yes.
or something like this.
Mm-hmm.
But later he goes on to say Qudsi.
Could see.
And
Yeah.
of course, Allah is Quddus.
Mm-hmm.
Allah is holy. And one of the meanings of holy is that
Mm-hmm.
Allah is completely above any kind of defect or deficiency or deformity or lack or absence.
Mm-hmm.
And in a sense, when we are fasting, we are attaining the same kind of state because fasting is unlike any other state. We know this
Mm-hmm.
because we're not doing anything, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we're not practically doing anything, we're not acting. It's omission. It's a kind of negative or passive, as we've said before, kind of worship,
Mm-hmm.
and that allows us to be empty and open,
Mm-hmm.
more open to the truth. And we should anyway always read Quran as though it's being revealed to us at that moment. It's much
Mm-hmm.
easier to do that in Ramadan when our concentration is
Mm-hmm.
focused
Mm-hmm.
on what we're doing,
Yeah.
and the blood is in our head rather than in our stomach.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there is a kind of nice tawafuq. There's a nice correlation
Yeah.
between Ramadan and the fact that it was the month in which the Quran was revealed. It makes a lot of sense spiritually,
Yeah.
if not
Yeah.
intellectually.
Yeah. Yeah. And how like it's been just also like it's been right so that the whole world Islam is transformed into a mosque because of that point of view, right? So like you're just
Mhm.
saying that and joining in, isn't it? So and you would like to become part of
Yes.
it as if like you're buying like as I mean just we know like in this congregation so like as soon as like you even like it's just forgive me like I have to like give this example from like the finance world but if you as soon as like you buy some stock so like as you become a shareholder as it like even legally and everything, you become a part of that company. So like now, just if you start like believing and if you start like participating, and if everyone has that sort of kind of leaning, then you are becoming part of it, and the whole world resembles
Yeah.
in a sense. I mean, that's my understanding. Is that correct, or like what do you guys think, especially for with this sentence?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there is I think it's a tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Kullul ard masjidullah. The whole of
Mm-hmm.
the earth
Mm-hmm.
is the place of prostration.
Mm-hmm.
And one can understand that in ordinary times, but in
Mm-hmm.
Ramadan, I know now that all of my brothers are fasting, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends where they are in the world. We've just now
Right.
broken the fast 2 minutes ago, but
Yeah.
I know that in America you're still fasting,
Yeah.
and there were
Mm-hmm.
times when we were both fasting at the same time,
Yeah.
and I can feel what you feel. It's
Yeah.
not just about having compassion for the
Mm-hmm.
poor or having
Yeah.
empathy.
Yeah.
It's also about having a bond with those
Mhm.
fellow believers that we know are now reading on the same page, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Metaphorically speaking.
yeah,
We're
yeah,
doing the
exactly.
same thing.
Hmm.
It's as though we're standing in the same room. When we do Jamaat, or
Hmm.
if you go to Taraweeh, it's as though you're doing Taraweeh with
Hmm.
millions
Yeah,
because you
yeah,
know that people are doing this.
yeah.
And, for believers, there's no distance.
Hmm.
Theoretically, there's no distance.
Right, right.
Spirit is in Malakut.
Hmm.
Allah Ta'if are in Malakut. You can feel it's different.
Yeah,
You can feel
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Hocam. Hocam, what would you like to add? Just this point, like 6 point.
Well, please accept my apology. I didn't know that you were gonna break your fast, but if I knew that, I would have just said
No, no, I was
something.
joking. I wasn't planning to. I just had
Yeah,
a glass of water. So
yeah,
when it came the time, I just had a sip and then I could
yeah.
carry on.
Nice.
I was joking.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I will
So,
go and break it when we're finished properly.
okay.
Yeah.
All I just wanted to add is just the second paragraph. I was gonna say,
Hmm.
in Risale as well, that there's a Mu'jizatul Quran Risale, and We know
Mm-hmm.
the Quran is that the translator of world, translation of our translator of human being, and then the
Mm-hmm.
purpose of life and everything.
Yeah.
So, which is one of the most important part that we just sometimes that uh, read some part, or so we can read maybe that
Mm-hmm.
less. But this Islam becomes a mosque example is a great example, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can listen everybody like praying as well. That yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think that if I remember correctly, all the time that on whole wide world that everybody is praying in different timing, and then 4 or 5 times praying, and it's happening. So the Quran during the Ramadan, everybody is clearly understands that it's just came this with this month. So it's a special bounty for us to just go back again, try to just read it and try to understand, and not only reading but also that like what we are doing, trying to understand the tafsir of the Quran,
Mm-hmm.
and more is just becoming that great bond between all the Muslims around across the world. And
Mm-hmm.
that's all I can just say, that you guys already covered everything. So, which is beautiful, really, that
Mm-hmm.
hearing and listening to Quran
Yeah.
everywhere, every corner. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Yeah, anyone else would like to say anything so far? Maybe I should. All right. Okay. Let's see, just 7 point. I think like this is maybe just it's a little kind of longer. If there's no deciding, I don't want to like continue like the reading, so because we only have 5 minutes left, and maybe we can finish early and then let Kolajam to go back to his just iftar, inshallah. And I would like to call like maybe just Mojam to recite some Quran and make some prayer, and then inshallah we'll call the day for just for this week. Mojam, you available? Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
inshallah we can
Inshallah,
finish.
please. Yeah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر صدق الله العظيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم اجعل ليلة قدرنا في هذا الرمضان خيرا من 1000 شهر لنا ولجميع المؤمنين آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين الفاتحة.
Thank you so much for joining in, Mojam and Kolajam. Thanks a lot again, like for being with us, being participation, and hoping to see you inshallah
Thank you
next
for
week.
moderating.
Thank you, sir.
Inshallah,
Thank,
inshallah.
Inshallah.
thank you so much.
Oh, just a point before we leave.
Please.
Our
Yeah.
clocks, we were talking about the clocks going forward.
Right.
Our clocks don't go forward until the 30th of March.
Oh, nice. Oh, okay. Oh, nice. Yeah, all right. So ours is gonna be a little earlier, but I think yeah,
I
that's
think it's next week, isn't it? It's
it's like
next
next
week,
week.
isn't it?
Yeah, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, then, inshallah. All right, salam alaikum, inshallah. I'll hope to see you.
Mm.